President Muhammadu Buhari has suspended the chairman of the Special Investigation Panel for the Recovery of Public Property, Chief Okoi, Obono-Obla. What has informed this move by Mr. President, one may ask? Can it be termed as a genuine anti-corruption move? Well, in the studio, we're being joined by Ugochukwu. He is a political analyst, and I still have with me Emeka Nwadioke, a legal practitioner. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. So I'll start with you, Ugo, because you just got here. So Obono-Obla has been on Mr. President's radar for a bit now, and of course, from the story, we hear that he has been they issued a statement to him on some things that were found out, and he apologized about it. But then now we have issues of misrepresentation, other fraudulent charges, misuse of office and power. And now Mr. President is saying you've not just been suspended, but the EFCC has the right to investigate you. And this is a man who was a presidential aide at some point, speaking for the presidency.
I think first of all, I think it's sad what is happening, all right? This is somebody that right now, University of Jos and the Council for Legal Education is questioning his supposed law degree and his certificate to practice bar. And this is the same guy that was screened. He had a DSSS screening, because for anybody to work with the presidency, you're supposed to be screened, supposed to be background check to see whether the person is qualified truly. He passed all through this phase, and they didn't find him wanting. He represented the president as special assistant on a couple of occasions. He did other work. Up to this moment, all right, nothing was done, nothing was said, and because there's kind of a level of outcry against him, you know, having abused his office and the things he has done, yeah, to an extent, it's good, all right, but no, Obono is not the only person. All the people that have been involved so far to make sure that he got to this process, he shouldn't just take the blame alone. Someone make sure that he got into this into the presidency. Someone make sure that he worked in the presidency for a long while. Who are the people that vetted him? All right. So it shows gross incompetence around the presidency, around the people that are in charge of what they're supposed to be in charge. Because how can you have somebody that his certificates are in question, and you have him holding a sensitive position in government? It does not make sense. For me, it goes beyond sacking because of...
This will not be the first of its kind. I mean, the former communications minister had the same question. Mr. President just came out of court with the same issue of certificates. So I think this is a never-ending thing, and it's not the first of its kind.
No, it doesn't matter. You see, it's a problem when we have a cycle of incompetence, a cycle of batting going on, and the only justification that we keep hearing is that it happened to this person. Kemi Adeosun had an issue with her NYSC certificate. She left at the end of the day, all right? Obono is having the same issue right now. Our president, all right, is here to find his WAEC result. So at the end of the day, you see, we're in a country. He's here to find his WAEC result.
Issued him the result. WAEC that issued
whatever they didn't issue him. WAEC from West Africa Examination Council, not the one in here, but we're asking WAEC itself to show the result. We've not seen it. So at the end of the day, it shows gross incompetence. It shows that at the end of the day, governance is not a serious venture for these guys, because you don't just get in somebody from nowhere without any credibility, without any thing to back him, just because he had the backing of some people in government that was okay with him. At this moment, what is happening to Obono is not because the president is fighting corruption, it's because he fell out with some key people within the presidency. And that's just a simple question.
Interesting. And you're a lawyer. I would like to start by saying that, because according to this letter that was written to Obono-Obla from the Office of the Solicitor General of the Federation, and before he was asked to appear, they're saying that there were petitions, series of petitions from legal practitioners, concerned public-spirited citizens and public officers alleging, number one, abuse of office, intimidation, unauthorized malicious investigation, financial impropriety, administrative misconduct, forgery, and falsification of records by Obono-Obla. Now, a lot of people have criticized Mr. President for his lopsided fight against corruption. Could this be a statement to Mr. President's naysayers to say, hey, look what we're doing now?
Hopefully. Let's hope that this current dispensation, that's the next level. We are going to the next level of corruption or anti-corruption, fight, so to speak. But the fact remains that even globally, I don't think they take us seriously as to the fact that we're fighting corruption. Because, of course, they can always read between the lines and see that, just like you hinted, much of the fight is excessively lopsided. If you are on one side, in fact, if you're on the side of the president, you are more or less protected.
But Obono-Obla was on the side of the president, and here we are.
That's the point I'm making. Before now, probably, he probably wouldn't have been touched, even though EFCC will tell you that they've convicted one or two. But that's tokenism. Just, in fact, as they say, the exception, only goes to prove the rule. The rule that we know is that much of the fight is against the opposition, which is very sad. And even if you look at our ranking on the corruption index, you equally see that we are not moving anywhere because they don't see any seriousness on our part. So if the president repents today and begins to...
Why the use of if? You don't think that the presidency is doing this?
It's just as the... well, they say the morning shows the day, but, we definitely... The jury is still out, whether the presidency is seriously committed as regards the fight. For me, specifically speaking although he hinted on the president's certificate issue, but to the extent that that's sub judice, I won't, discuss that. But to say that as regards the case in point, obviously, I think there's some kind of prima facie case against Chief Obla, who is also a senior lawyer anyway, to the effect that I think his fundamental claim is that his school certificate, that he used another name for his school certificate. So what you see is that the school certificate bears a different name, one Ofem, whatever, while everyone knows him as this. So, and that was what he used to
what does the law say about this? Because in Nigeria, we're very religious people. I'm sure you went to school with people who bared names in their local dialects, but they became religious later on in life, and those names meant something less spiritual, and so they changed those names. Most times, they don't get an affidavit for the name change. Could that also be Mr. Obla's? Because Obono-Obla is a native name from North Central Cross River. Okay. So I don't know if, because some people still change it to another native name, which is less,
But the Obono is the one we know now. So
I'm saying, so what does the law say when it comes to name changing? Must you have an affidavit? Must you have to have it printed in a newspaper?
Of course, it could be circumstantial. If, for instance, your house got burnt, and probably, for instance, during the war, who was there to swear to affidavit and things like that. But at least you have some other circumstantial evidence that will show that actually you are the owner of this certificate. You may call some people who went to school with you. You may invite your teacher. So that will definitely be circumstantial. You didn't attend school alone and all that. So, but where you don't have all such evidence, then it becomes a serious challenge. And you've been summoned by the House of Representatives. I think they say 4 times. You never appeared. The WAEC deputy registrar appeared and on note said that no, this certificate was altered and invalid, and several other circumstances around the certificate. So it's a big challenge for him, and I hope he is able to scale the hurdle.
So still talking about the fight against corruption and how serious the president, like you said, in the next level is, there are people who have also said that why just Obono, there are many other people in Mr. President's team that have so many cases to answer with the EFCC. For some who are governors, yes, they have immunity. Take, for example, the issue of guns and a certain governor, now senator. We've not heard about that issue. There are several instances. Why do you think that the EFCC is not or the ICPC is not running with these cases as fast as they're running with this? And I'm not in any way trying to, say that Obla is not guilty. Of course, the issues in front of us.
Well, I'm not here to determine if Obono is guilty or not. Neither am I here to speak for ICPC or FCC. I'm not their spokesperson. Whatever we'll say is based on what we've deduced and what we've seen. We've seen over the long period of time, this is what they've done, this is what they've sustained by their actions and their inactions, and we can rightly conclude that this is what's happening. Like I said, all right, Obono is not the first person that have rejected to appear before the House of Reps when he was summoned. All right, in this country we have cases like that. Yeah, the former IG, remember, the National Assembly didn't go till he left. All right, the new IG, they summoned him, he came in. All right, so what we're dealing with fundamentally about Obono, what is happening, even with the fight against corruption, is institutional. Right? So you see people come in and think that the apparatus of government or the institution of government or different arms of government is out there for you to fulfill your own objective, of the person that put you in. And that is not true. And that is the challenge that Obono had. All right, because if Obono, who is a lawyer that's supposed to understand the rule of law and supposed to understand the fundamentals, the things they're supposed to know, he should have by now know that, okay, if you don't have this certificate, like you rightly said, you do something, all right? If we're talking to a layman, it's different from someone that's called himself a lawyer, even though that is in dispute at the moment. So for me...
But what beats me is, let's say for the case of Mr. President, and we're not in any way trying to play about this, in his case, he didn't go on to become a lawyer, become a professor in a university. So he didn't necessarily need to tender these results. But in his case...
Mr. President is inexcusable.
No, just hold on. I'm just trying to make a case now. For Obla, how did he get to this point? He went to university, went to law school. He became a professor teaching in a university. So I'm wondering, how do you get to that point without tendering a proper result? Because all of these things have to be scrutinized in the process. In
answering that, all right, Obono was scrutinized by the DSSS before he got into the presidency, working for the presidency, all right? For example, on a base level, let's say the
DSS is not even a university. I'm even trying to say the university system in itself.
The university system is easy to beat university system. In Nigeria, it's easy to beat it.
How do you know this?
I'm telling you, because we've had people that have come out and say they've had a certificate they didn't, all right? We have a former speaker in this country that claimed he went to University of Toronto and the rest of them. Later, it was found out that he didn't go to University of Toronto. So Obono is not the first high-ranking public official that this has happened to, all right? So it brings me back to the conversation. See, both from the least level of public office to the highest level or the presidency, you have people that are okay with abusing the institution of government, that are okay with to abuse the process. So at the end of the day, you can do it, but somehow it's still going to catch up with you. So if Obono was there, that understand his duty and did his job very well, didn't abuse his office, didn't misappropriate funds like the allegations against him right now, and has done his job well in accordance with the Constitution, in respect to the Constitution, won't be having this issue. If the same person at the DSS is supposed to checkmate him to see that this guy is what he said he is, all right, did his job, we won't be having this issue. So at the end of the day, we're having an issue that you see people that claim they went to school. At the end of the day, they go for interview. Some companies in Nigeria are very, very smart. They're very strategic that they will ask questions, they will find out, they will write and get some of this information. Some companies don't have that resources. Just come and work. They'll pay you. You go your way. So at the end of the day, you see, we have issues that are institutional to all of us. So because we feel that we can do away with it.
So you're saying there's a systemic rot?
It's 100%. If there's anything like 200%, I would say 200%.
Where do we start in repairing it? I'll give you 1 minute each. Where do we start to repair this? Because we can't just lay out the problems on the table without finding a solution. If we have a systemic rot, and I've heard us talk about this for years, maybe since I was a teenager, and we're still dealing with these issues in 2019, what will 2030 hold?
It's a fundamental rot, as I said, because even as we speak, there are several people in NYSC camps, with fake results and everything. And of course, 2030 we'll be discussing them because they will be the next whoever that will be on the spotlight. It's everywhere. So it's very fundamental. But then again, just like he hinted, it's an indictment of even our security apparatus, the people who are probing. So how didn't you point this out before? And you can also equally rule out the what you mentioned about he being made a fall guy. Obviously, he might have stepped on one or two toes. And I've also read some literature, to the effect that even out of the 4 out of the 5 of the panel, because it's a panel on special, that the 4 actually wrote a petition against him, saying that he's going out of the terms of reference of the body, and that it was only 4 cases that were referred to them from CBN, Nigerian Post Authority, and all that. So
how do we solve the situation? We don't have time. Will we ever get past this?
It's a challenge, but hopefully with the political will, then with getting our institutions really functional and working as they should, and less of overbearing political influence and all that, probably we'll get somewhere.
Finally,
I think it's important. Like it's good that even if he's a fall guy at the moment, it's good. If not for anything, let's say this justice is performative, all right? They're trying to perform and to show us that they're working. To an extent, it's good, all right? I use him as a fall guy, set the example, set standards people can improve. But it goes beyond that. If only Obono is a fall guy, it defeats the purpose of what is happening to him, right? They are supposed to be a panel of inquiry from people that have been that he passed through their process to get where he is. All these people are supposed to be disciplined. So there are supposed to be measures to make sure that something like this doesn't happen. On the security agency part, what do we do that in future we don't have somebody pass DSSC? This is like you're like the last bus stop. If something this serious can go through you and nobody saw you doing when you are checking his file, and nobody saw you couldn't make an ordinary call to confirm from University of Jos or from the Council of Legal Education. So it is a problem, and also it's good that that they pointed this thing out. But nation building is a gradual process. So let's take the learnings, improving what we're doing, and the ones that we're not doing right, let's discard it.
All right. Well, I don't think we could have put it a better way, but thank you very much. Emeka Nwadioke and Ugochukwu Ikako. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for speaking with us. All right. We'll take a short break for our plus packages, and when we come back, I'll be giving you my take. The families of the 2 police detectives who were killed in Taraba State recently have called on the federal government to ensure justice prevails. Speaking to newsmen in Abuja, they said the sacrifices of the late Inspector, Mark Adiale, who was shown in a video pleading for his life at the incident, and Jide Owolabi, earlier identified as a civilian member of the team, must not go in vain. They also want all complicit military personnel brought to book.
We come before all well-meaning Nigerians, okay, and the world community at large to voice out our displeasure as to this gruesome murder, this inglorious killing of our brother in Taraba State, who went on the official duty of this beloved country that he has served in the capacity of 16 years or more. We vehemently speak against the perpetrators of this heinous act, the operative, which are the Nigerian army. And we demand a very thorough investigation, not only by the Nigerian community, but international and independent body as well, so that justice should be truly served. We are all here. The reason we call this conference is for justice to be served. There's no other reason. There's no other purpose. Why was the kingpin kidnapper released? They have done their job, apprehended the kidnapper. On their way back to Abuja, the army operative unleashed barrages of fire. And it was in the hail of this gunshot that cut down all these gallant police officers. We demand to know why, and why the kidnapper was released.
My sister's son was murdered in the course of discharging the duty. And what we want is that justice should be prevailed. Those people that did that, we will be grateful if the government will punish them for the sin they have committed. And we have lost a hope. He's one of the brain winners in the family. So it's a very sad event that has taken place in our family. Nobody's happy over it. The way they treated them and killed them, they were rolling them on the ground. I wasn't happy over it. Until now, we are not happy. The family is not happy because we have lost a hope.
Well, it's time for my take. Elsa Zaki gone to India, and before we said Jack Robinson, he was back. And the question is, what exactly is going on? Is there something that we are missing as Nigerians? Well, our fingers are crossed and we're waiting to see what happens at the end of the day. But again, talking about the investigation against the presidential aide of Mr. Okoi, Obono-Obla, we're wondering exactly, is this Mr. President trying to tell his naysayers that, look, we're really fighting corruption and we are not lopsided. We're even using people within our camps to somewhat send a message to the naysayers. But hey, like my guests have said, if there is a rot in the system, we cannot just be fighting corruption on the surface. We have to make sure that every single person who understands their role in this fight against corruption is clean, because you can't have your hands stained and then, of course, come to fight corruption. Everybody who comes to equity must come with clean hands. That's what we say, right? So, Mr. President, as much as we want to applaud you for this fight against corruption, we want to also see that it is being done thoroughly. I am Maryann, and it's been Plus Politics.